is a beautiful place to walk, but people don't realize that it's also a very special place, and it's a very rare place, and it's one of the last maritime meadows in the region, and it has one of the highest concentrations of rare plants. So what we have here is a red-listed species called purple Sanika. It's endangered, and it's just starting to sprout now. It'll produce flowers, little purple balls, sometime at the end of May. So this is a map of the Sanika Peninsula in Victoria, and it shows in green where the Garry Oak ecosystems once were. I think the date was in the 1800s, late 1800s, that's where they were mapped. And then what remains is shown in red. And you can see Uplands Park is that little red blob there.
So come on in and get a tool, gloves and everything, okay? There is only 1% of it left in Victoria and about 5% on the Gulf Islands. So it's one of Canada's top 3 endangered ecosystems, and we have it right here in Oak Bay.
We have 23 endangered plants, and 6 of them are in Cattle Point. One of them was here as recently as 2004. It hasn't been seen since, but we know that at least 6 have been lost in the last 2 decades.
Right down here at Cattle Point, we've got these rocky bluffs. Right next to the ocean here and Willows Beach. And right at the top edge of these rocks, we have a group of little Garry Oaks that form a magical forest that looks like fairies live here. It's just awesome. Now, if you get a little further away from these, you can see that the trees are bigger. And then further away still, you can see that the trees are even bigger, but they're still not as big as the ones in the deep meadow. Plants just don't like saltwater spray. So that means these trees have a really hard time growing here, but they have, and they form a wonderful little forest, and we should appreciate them.
Even though, it is a remnant Garry Oak ecosystem, it's quite compromised by invasive plants and recreational use and dogs.
The Friends of Uplands Park was formed in 2009, and it was formed to try and help this ecosystem and restore it to a healthier ecosystem so that there would be a lot more food and shelter and things for wild animals that are here.
This is an ivy day, but to get at the ivy we have to take a lot of the daphne out, and it's become just a perfect time to get daphne before the flower goes to seed and the ground's soft. We're not hurting any of the native plants in the process. It's toxic in its sap. Always have to wear gloves. Very toxic if a pet ate it, or kids were mucking with it with their young skins. And to get rid of it, we're pulling it right now while it's easy to get out by the roots. And if you can't take it out by the roots, you need to cut down at least below soil level to catch some of the lateral roots that are on it.
Nice to get out and sort of help in the community and enjoy the fresh air. It's, you get to see what you've done at the end of the day, so it's nice and fun and satisfying.
Makes you feel good when you're done.
In order to get funding from the federal government, we need to show community support. And so part of that is volunteer hours. And Friends of Uplands Park, mainly Margaret, organizes many thousands of volunteer hours, which we then use. And so this work done by these people here is extremely important to our HSP project. And this is our first year of a 3-year program.
Here we have an old ivy going up this scrub oak, and you can see how thick the branches are right here. It's been cut, and what we do is we cut it here, and then we remove all the ivy going down and away from the tree down here.
A lot of the rare plants occur in vernal pools. So these are areas that are very wet in the winter, and then they dry out towards the end of the spring. And so these plants are adapted to have a very short and fast life cycle. And one of them is right here. It's called McCowan's Meadow Foam. So Pokemon Go has a couple of Poke Stops and Poke Gyms, which draw people who play the game to this area. And unfortunately, one of the gyms is right on top of this vernal pool. Who knows how many more years of that kind of trampling it can stand.
Right here, where we've had our No Ivy League, removing the ivy from the ground, you can see we have camas coming up, and this is going to be a lovely, lovely shade of blue, which we have not had here for many, many years. Hoping also that we can get some school kids coming in here and planting some more native plants so that this area doesn't get in and covered with invasive plants again.
This is an enclosure around a vernal pool, and it's the location, the last seen location for Victoria's owl clover. And Victoria's owl clover is one of the rarest plants in the region, probably the rarest plant. What we're going to be doing in the spring is putting in another one of these enclosures at the spot over there, which is around a big patch of McCowan's meadow foam. And maybe in the long term we'll have trail markers.
1, 2.
If you want to volunteer, contact us. We have a website, friendsofuplandspark.org, and then I will send you out all of our events and programs that we're offering. And last year we had 89.